The Great Bear Rainforest is there's no question, it's a jewel in the crown of magnificent landscape in British Columbia. And it's a jewel for all Canadians. It covers 6.4 million hectares. That's an area of land the same size as Ireland.
The Sierra Club is feeling great about the Great Bear Rainforest outcome because this is a magical place. It's one of the largest remaining intact temperate coastal rainforests on the planet. And we have now a solution in place with 85% of the forest off limits to logging, which will ensure that we can safeguard the web of life, including species that don't exist anywhere else on the planet, like the rare spirit bear.
The Great Bear Rainforest campaign that has lasted for 20 years now really came out of the War in the Woods conflict of the early 90s in Clayoquot Sound. And we were involved initially in Clayoquot Sound. We were invited to then also participate and stand with First Nations in the Great Bear Rainforest, whether it was blockades or protests in front of consulates or talking to customers of these companies. It was a full-on effort to try and force change, which we were able to do after 5 years of conflict. We went into a collaboration negotiation mode for the following 15 years.
I stand here today proud, happy, but still a little bit upset that it's taken this long for us to find that balance that we were looking for the last 20 years. My communities still aren't better places to live yet, but the relationships that we built over the last 20 years have ensured that the next 20 years are going to be fruitful, full of economic prosperity and sustainable balance that we need.
Another key piece of the Great Bear Rainforest Agreement got finalized. It's the Great Bear Rainforest Act, and together with the land use objectives dealing with conservation and the Great Bear Rainforest Act dealing with the forest management side, we have now the system in place that will make sure that enough rainforest is protected.
They have not banned the trophy hunting of the bears that give the region its name. And so we find this problematic. They've undertaken economic studies where they have found that they've gotten more revenue from ecotourism and bear viewing through ecotourism than the shooting of bears and logging, actually. So there's much more money to be made through ecotourism, and that is fantastic. That's basically a win-win. We just need to make sure that you don't have droves of people coming into these very delicate systems. And First Nations have stewarded their lands for millennia. They know what to do.
The Great Bear Rainforest is an ecosystem where land and sea meet, and we cannot only protect ecosystems on land.
At the federal level, they need to get their act together to look at designating further areas for marine protection. Bears rely on the salmon, and salmon rely on healthy streams, which rely on, a healthy forest. So all of these things are very interconnected.
Our oceans are stressed. They are under pressure by climate change, acidification. We still have the risk of dangerous oil pipeline and tanker proposals. We have to increase protection, make sure that we reduce the stress from overfishing, from pollution, and we need a lot more marine protected areas along the coast of British Columbia.
It's a whole system that's been designated protected up in Haida Gwaii, which is very exciting, and I think that's where we need to move to for other parts of the coast in the Great Bear Rainforest.
We have a huge gap in terms of conservation of rainforest on Vancouver Island in the south coast. It's time to increase protection on Vancouver Island.
It's very exciting. We've never reached this point before. We now have a green print, or an eco print, if you will, around moving forward. And it's a very exciting time, but we just need to make sure that there's also vigilance and the continued passion to move into the 21st century with this.
British Columbians have reason to be proud about the outcome in the Great Bear Rainforest. It will inspire action in other parts of the world to protect forests. And we have a global responsibility because this is a globally significant region, and this model can be applied in other parts of the world.